How you doing, movie fans, and welcome back to The Potato, where we're just a whirlwind of movie news and reviews from a couch potato. And if this is your first time here, I would really appreciate your support. Please subscribe. So, Lethal Weapon 5. What happened to being too old for this? That is what he used to say, right? I mean, no doubt about it, Lethal Weapon has its place in 80s and 90s buddy cop movies with its action and swanky saxophone music. But I can't think of another upcoming film that fits the definition of unnecessary sequel more than Lethal Weapon 5. Fair point. Regardless, rumors of a Lethal Weapon 5 have been circulating since the conclusion of Lethal Weapon 4 in 1998. And over the years, director Richard Donner and writer Shane Black, who wrote the first film, have thrown out some comments hinting of a potential Lethal Weapon 5. But then a lot of that chatter came to a screeching halt when Mel Gibson pretty much turned himself into box office poison by, well, you know.
You should just smile and me!
But now that it would seem a lot of that has blown over, various reports have indicated that Lethal 5 is back on track. So, let's take a look at what we know.
The possibility of a Lethal Weapon 5 has been on again, off again for quite a while. When the project was presumed dead, writer Shane Black revealed in 2016 some information about the Lethal Weapon 5 we could have seen, by saying, quote, "It was interesting. It was essentially an older Riggs and Murtaugh in New York City during the worst blizzard in East Coast history, fighting a team of expert Blackwater guys from Afghanistan that's smuggling antiquities. And we had a young character that actually counterpointed them. But I didn't want to do what people do when they're trying to transition, which is they sort of put the two older guys in the movie, but really it's about their son, and he's going to take over and we're going to do a spin-off. That. If they're going to be in the movie, they're going to be in the movie. I don't care how old they are." End quote. Then in 2017, news of the franchise being resurrected surfaced when director Richard Donner said he was just waiting for the studio to give the green light, and that Mel and Danny were back on board with the script from Lethal Weapon 4 writer Channing Gibson. However, in early 2018, Donner announced that negotiations with the studio had begun to break down, and it's looking like the fifth film won't happen. But then, only a few months later, Donner would backtrack on those comments and sounded more optimistic that a deal would be reached.
Now keep in mind, while all this is going on and the years continue to pass, Mel Gibson and Danny Glover aren't getting any younger. Right now, Mel Gibson is 64 years old and Danny Glover is 73. And while the success of Bad Boys 3 certainly makes a case that pulling off a movie like this is possible, I still think it's quite a bit of a stretch.
Regarding the story, Dan Lin, who is producing Lethal Weapon 5, and also produced the Lethal Weapon TV series on Fox, had this to say, quote, "We're trying to make the last Lethal Weapon movie, and Dick Donner's coming back. The original cast is coming back, and it's just amazing. The story itself is very personal to him. Mel and Danny are ready to go, so it's about the script." End quote. Official details about that script are scarce at this time, but we know it's now in the hands of Edge of Tomorrow writer Jez Butterworth. It's also uncertain who exactly, other than Gibson and Glover, will return. Joe Pesci had to be relentlessly talked out of retirement by Martin Scorsese to do The Irishman, so an appearance by Leo Getz might be a bit of a stretch. But if written in, I don't see any reason why Rene Russo or Chris Rock wouldn't return to their roles in some capacity. Although, I really think it might be a better idea if they shed most of that supporting cast and just go back to basics and what made this series so great anyway, which was Riggs and Murtaugh.
It's beautiful!
Given their age now, that script better be damn good. And not just a lame passing of the torch to Riggs' kid who was born at the end of Part 4. Yeah, Lethal Weapon 5 definitely isn't a necessary sequel, but given the chemistry that these two have on screen together, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't curious to see where it at least takes us. Well, everybody, thank you for watching, and I really appreciate it, and I will see you next week. Thanks.
Potato.